Aindra Kirtan Revolution, so book about Aindra Prabhu's life. An important personality in the lives of many, many devotees. He established the 24-hour kirtan in Krishna Balaram Mandir. Originally, Srila Prabhupada, he established the 24-hour kirtan at the time when the temple was inaugurated, the deities were installed. But because there were not so many devotees, they could not continue. Maybe only 1 year or 1.5 years. When I first came to Vrindavan in 1980, already that time there was no 24-hour kirtan. But there was cassette of Srila Prabhupada, which of course was wonderful too. But if the live kirtan is there, that is, especially of course when the devotees are nicely situated in Krishna consciousness and trying to chant purely the holy names, then it is very enlivening. It is pleasing to the deities. It is pleasing to, and of course, everything we do is for the pleasure of Guru Gauranga Krishna. And so, the Yuga Dharma is the chanting of the holy names, which Mahaprabhu established, is the Yuga Avatar. And Mahaprabhu is residing here in our temple together with his transcendental brother, Nityananda Prabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking also in Prakat Lila, in the manifest pastime, to chant the holy names. As he had started himself, he's the inaugurator of chanting of the holy names. And then he asked Nityananda Prabhu at one time, and Haridas Thakur also, to go from door to door and tell everyone to chant the holy names, which they did. So it is mentioned throughout the Vedic literatures that the Yuga Dharma is the chanting of the holy names. Nama Yagya Mahayagya Kali Kalmashanashanam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prityatam Nama Yagya Samarpanam. So we should chant the holy names and offer for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes, of course, the mind is wandering here and there, so therefore we may say sometimes it appears to be a Mahayagya, to control the mind and the senses, to focus, especially during japa. During kirtan it is a little more easy to concentrate in the association of the devotees. But one has to endeavor. But even in kirtan together with others, still the mind is, for the conditioned soul, is sometimes wandering here and there, but one has to control and one has to be focused. In the association of the devotees who are advanced, like Aindra Prabhu, then it is much easier to chant the holy names in kirtan or even in japa. And therefore Aindra Prabhu, he was so successful. And so when we chant the holy names, so we offer to Mahaprabhu, we offer to Radha Krishna. So the Maha Mantra is a Yugal Mantra also, Radha Krishna there. Of course, those who are in Sakha Bhav, they will see Krishna Balaram. So chanting the holy names is an offering to Guru, to Prabhupada, to Mahaprabhu and Sri Radha and Krishna. So Aindra Prabhu, he understood the importance of chanting the holy names. Right from the beginning when he joined, that was his main activity, was chanting the holy names. Certainly also due to previous impressions, so he not only immediately understood the essence of the Krishna consciousness movement, but he was able to be focused, to be absorbed in chanting the holy names in japa and kirtan. So that is a great contribution. His example, his personal life, so which is nicely recorded in the book which is being launched today. And I had gone through the whole manuscript. It was given to me in the beginning stage, and I just got the book 3 days ago from Yadavendra Prabhu, and I've gone a little bit through it, and so a nice job has been done in presenting the book and its present form, and also beautiful photos are there of Aindra Prabhu. So Aindra Prabhu, I met him actually in New York, 1980, I believe it was 84. The first time I met him, and so I had the opportunity to be with him for almost 2 years, and then he went to India, to Mayapur for the 500th anniversary celebration of Mahaprabhu appearance, and then he moved to Vrindavan and stayed there. So already in the beginning I had a good opportunity to be with him, and immediately we had a very nice relationship. And then later on, when I also came back to Vrindavan in 1987, so our relationship continued till the end of his life. So, which was in the year 2010. So he had a great impact on the lives of many, many devotees. Also many of his god brothers, they had great respect for him because of his absorption in chanting of the holy names, because of his knowledge of the scriptures, Srila Prabhupada's books, but the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures. So he had read all the books, but he was also conversant with the books of the previous acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur. And he imbibed the teachings not only of Prabhupada, but also of the previous acharyas. And so he was fully absorbed in Braj Bhav. And of course specifically, which is what Mahaprabhu ultimately came to give, Unadojjala Ras, the Madhurya Bhav, and our acharyas, the 6 Goswamis and our acharyas in our line after the 6 Goswamis, they are all actually gopis and manjaris. So we was fully absorbed in that. And chanting the holy names, there is a Yuga Dharma, but the consciousness must be there, the bhav must be there. One should chant with the proper bhav, with Braj Bhav, and that's given by Srila Prabhupada, the acharyas. And then one may be able to purify one's existence and ultimately also realize Krishna Swarup and our Swarup. So he inspired me also in my life, and we had many, especially in the beginning years when there were not so many devotees here. We had many times we met in his room and also on the altar. He was in the altar also worshipping, dressing Sri Radha Shyama Sundar at least 1 or 2 times a week. Even at that time, the festival times, we used to dress together and we used to speak Krishna Katha while serving the deities also. And in his room, always Krishna Katha was there, and once he started speaking, so then he used to speak for 1, 2, 3 hours without stopping. And many times I had to humbly tell him, Prabhuji, I have some other seva. Please, I would like to take your leave. Okay, if you want, you can go, sure. So he could speak for hours and hours and hours, and just practically the essence of Krishna consciousness and nothing. I mean, you could see in his life, in his chanting holy names, but then by speaking, sometimes if somebody is chanting, you may not understand his consciousness. but then by speaking. Even Prabhupada had explained, and there's a saying also, a person may be there and look very like an erudite person or a great person, but once he speaks, you will understand where he is at. If he's really a scholar or if he's a fool. So Aindra Prabhu, when he was speaking, that we could understand his absorption in Krishna consciousness, his knowledge of the scriptures, and he was Siddhantavit. He knew the conclusion of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. He was Rasa Tattvavit, because ultimately we want to realize our ras, our relationship with Krishna, either in friendship or parental affection or conjugal relationship. And so he knew exactly the process. So as we know, we do Sarana Bhakti, then Raganuga Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti. So he knew the process, the paddhati of how to advance and come to a high stage, and therefore he was able to also tell to others. So he used to give class in the temple also, Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is usually from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and now usually they have a sign also that you have to stop by 9 o'clock. At that time, sometimes it was 9:15, 9:30, but when Aindra Prabhu was speaking, I mean, the earliest was maybe 10 o'clock. Sometimes 11 o'clock, one time it was 12 o'clock. Time for Rajbhog Artik. Okay, time to stop now. And sometimes even during the Artik, he was still speaking. And he used to say at 9 o'clock, it is 9 o'clock, and devotees who have other services, those who want to take prasadam, they may go, and no problem. And so the many devotees, slowly but surely, they were going because they had to take prasad, they had other seva. But those who are really eager to hear the nectar, they were staying up to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, sitting there for 4 hours, hearing nectar. So fully absorbed. So chanting the holy names, that is one thing, but then we should have the bhav, the consciousness, and have the proper understanding. So he was Siddhantavit, he was Rasa Tattvavit. And on another contribution, of course, as a great devotee, he was fully absorbed and attached to Krishna, and he was detached from this world. And therefore he was able to be very, very austere as he was doing Chaturmasvarat. Very austere, hardly first time I saw him in New York doing Chaturmasvarat, and I had never seen before anyone doing Chaturmas like he was doing. We were knowing that, Hare Krishna, we were knowing no spinach, no yogurt, no milk, no urad dal, that we all knew. But then to do something more austere, that was practically hardly unknown to anybody except during Kartik Mass. Some devotees, they were doing some austerity, but he was doing for 4 months. At that time I was in New York for a little visit, but I stayed there for 3 years. So he was doing Chandrayan Vrat. Anyone knows Chandrayan Vrat? So full moon it starts, we take the vow, and he had a full plate of khichdi. That's all he was eating. And also no ghee and no spices. No ghee and no spices. So and then it goes like this, that on the first day he was eating the full plate, and he had the hands behind on the back, and then he was having the plate on the floor, and he was going down, leaning forward and eating with his mouth only, not with the hand. And if somebody was going, "Hey Prabhuji," and he was coming up, then that was it, he was not allowed to eat more. So he was doing that vrat, and then towards the new moon he was eating less, and then from new moon to full moon again he was increasing a little amount. So extremely austere, and he used to lose so much weight, but he was able to do because of his absorption in Krishna consciousness. But then after Chaturmas, then he was taking nice Mahaprasad from Radha Govinda in New York, and he used to gain weight again. And he was a little chubby till Chaturmas, next Chaturmas, and then he was losing weight and then again. So a very amazing personality. And one more contribution is that he had his own deity, Gonitai and Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, in the beginning only, these deities, and now of course he has 2,222 Shilas, something like that. How many exactly? 2,200? Something like this, above 2,000, and then beautiful Nitai Sachisutta big deities. And he was taking so much nice care of them, also again with bhav, with love and devotion, and spending hours serving them and hearing. There was one devotee, Ram Roy, who was also close to him, sometimes other devotees, and then he was reading about Krishna's pastimes from books which the neophyte devotees should not read, like Krishna Bhavanamrit, Govinda Lilamrit, which is about Radha Krishna's pastimes during the day and night. And Prabhupada is writing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the advanced devotees in one purport, they relish this book, Krishna Bhavanamrit, because it is about Radha Krishna's pastimes and we have to be absorbed ultimately. So he was doing his deity worship, but then also he used to come on the altar and serve Radha Krishna. One time there was some strike by the devotees, pujaris. At that time I was not pujari yet. And they were not agreeing with the head pujari, and then they asked him also to help to dress, and then he was dressing the deities maybe for 6-7 months. Very, very nicely. And that was a new kind of also style of dressing the deities. Mostly in ISKCON in the beginning everything was a kind of straight, like Vaidya Bhakti is straight, Vishnu is straight, everything is straight, hanging the cloth, the crown, everything is straight in Vaikuntha. But in Braj, Krishna is Tribanglalit Shama Sundar. His form is bent in 3 places, very beautiful. And Krishna is speaking not always straight, in a joking way or tricky way, in a relationship with the gopis. And then he's looking when he's with his parents, and Radharani is there in the morning time. She's taking his breakfast, and then Radharani is cooking something and then offering some preparations, and Krishna is looking from the side of his eyes. So he had that bhav, and he was hearing all these pastimes, and therefore it was manifested in his seva when he was dressing the deities very nicely in Braj Bhav. And it was looking like, so when he was dressing, so for example, the chadars were not straight but little curved, it was looking natural. And the garland one time one side, as Krishna would be running one side, and another time going towards Radharani, one time away from Radharani, and similarly also Radharani dressed in a special way. And then when he was dressing, it was like Radha Krishna, they were just dancing. And of course Radharani, she's in Nritya Mudra, so like Radharani's hands are in certain way, so that is dance posture. And Prabhupada used to say, Radharani is dancing here. And if Radharani stops dancing, then the whole show is finished. So because he was so much absorbed and knowledgeable, so therefore his seva to the deities was also first class and very enlivening. And then slowly actually all over the world, because then devotees, they were actually copying, and we learned from him also how to do it in that way. And so the kirtan mela is there, and practically we may say that Aindra Prabhu is, we may say is, by doing his kirtan here, he was practically starting the kirtan mela, because when the great devotees are chanting, or even Prabhupada used to say in Vrindavan, every day is a festival. And when the advanced devotees are chanting, it is practically utsav, by when they're chanting the holy name, it is a festival. Therefore you can see when Aindra Prabhu was coming in the evening time, so then all the devotees, they were coming, and it was a kind of festival, and they were really enjoying because of the purity of Aindra Prabhu, the chanting and the hearing of the holy names. So I think the other devotees, so I have to stop here. We could go on, but we have to stop here. But fond memories are there of Aindra Prabhu, such a wonderful devotee. And so, Hare Krishna, we stop here. Aindra Prabhu ki.
Krishna kirtan gan natana